Olá pessoal, seja bem-vindo ao canal Blockchain Brasil. Eu sou o Douglas, estou aqui com o André e com o Alex. Ele é desenvolvedor do projeto Cosmos. Ele vai falar para a gente um pouquinho hoje sobre o projeto e o André vai começar aqui as perguntas com o Alex. André.
Alright, first of all, thank you for taking your time here with us. It's an honor to have you have an interview.
Thank you.
Can you please first introduce yourself? What's your role at Cosmos, and just
of
quick
course.
introduction.
So I'm Alex. I'm one of the core lead engineers on the Cosmos SDK team. I've been at the company for over a year now, and I pretty much helped it kind of make its way towards mainnet launch, and now working on kind of improving the scalability and interoperability aspects of the SDK and the developer ergonomics as well.
Alright, sounds good. Alright, so first of all, can you give us a brief intro to Cosmos? Like, what is Cosmos in a nutshell?
Wow, it's a tough question. Cosmos in a nutshell, yeah, of course. The main two things that I believe the Cosmos SDK strives to achieve are interoperability. So essentially, having all these sovereign chains that exist, whether they be peg zones, whether they be side chains, whether they be, whatever, for them to interoperate and be able to talk to one another, communicate with one another, and transfer assets and exchange data. And the other big part of the Cosmos ecosystem is provide tooling and a framework for developers to build their own sovereign applications on. Yeah.
And so the Cosmos network, when we talk about Cosmos, when I was reading about it, I could see as it's the internet of the blockchains, right? So I see as like we had the internet, we had like local LANs and then WAN and the wide network. And Cosmos is kind of connecting all the local networks.
Yeah.
So we have the local networks like the blockchain, the separate isolated blockchains, and then we have the internet that's connecting all the local networks into one place where they can talk to each other. Does that make sense? What the analogy that I'm trying to do?
The analogy makes sense. Essentially what you're describing is kind of this hub and spoke model that we typically use as an analogy. So you can foresee many zones. I guess analogous to what you're saying, many LANs or like isolated networks. Okay. And they communicate to one another through this concept of a hub, which is a collection of these zones that all talking to one another. Yeah, so it's a good analogy, sure.
Right. Let's talk about the Cosmos SDK.
Of course.
What language do you use, and what does it give to you? What's the functions? Can you just explain a little bit of the SDK?
The SDK, yeah. So the SDK is pivotal in the Cosmos ecosystem. The SDK as it exists right now is written in Golang. But the cool thing about it is it can essentially be written in any language you want. It can be written in JavaScript. There's actually a JavaScript library SDK implementation out there that's being worked on. In any language you want. So what the SDK strives to achieve is, if you're familiar with a framework like Ruby on Rails, gives you the building blocks to build your own sovereign application-specific blockchains. So the use cases are essentially limitless. You can have stablecoin applications. You can have media, social-based applications. And all these things will have some sort of common layer, like governance, staking, basic asset transfer. And so what we do in the SDK is give you this notion of modules. Modules are these things that you can kind of plug and play. You can choose to put in your own application.
It's like libraries?
They're like libraries. So like a staking module, a governance module. You find what fits your need for your application, and you pick and choose those to compose your app. And so the SDK provides you with these modules. But however, if something doesn't fit your needs, if something doesn't work quite well for you, we encourage you to fork it and to modify it and to build your own modules. So what we see 2, 3, 5 years down the road is this giant ecosystem of modules that have built on top of the SDK. And so that's what we want to provide.
So like Ruby on Rails, you have the gems for Ruby. Those are kind of the libraries that you can utilize in the Rails. Is there something similar in the Cosmos SDK? Like that, those are the modules that you're talking about.
Those
Is
are
there
the
any name
modules.
and packaging, anything like that? Or?
So because we're so early in the ecosystem, we don't really have anything quite yet like Bundler or NPM, but that is our intention, is to have an ability to index and search, upload all these modules.
Going to the next one. In regards to integrating existing blockchains into Cosmos, how does that work? And is there any existing blockchain already integrated with the Cosmos network, like Bitcoin, Litecoin, or Ethereum?
Yeah, it's a good question. And I think that's one of the biggest selling points or key attributes of the Cosmos ecosystem. So essentially, the solution we're providing, one of the big selling points is what we call IBC. This language, if you will, that many sovereign zones, many independent blockchains can use if they so choose to implement to talk to one another. So, for example, Bitcoin, you can implement something that's called a peg zone to exchange essentially Bitcoin to another application that's built on the SDK through IBC. To answer your question, is there anything currently existing? There are numerous projects that have taken the EVM and built it on top of Tendermint, which is our consensus layer. But it's not quite yet ready to connect because IBC is literally in the development stages as we speak. And I believe we're going to have a testnet later on this year. So you'll start seeing something like that in a few months.
I have a question though. So since we're trying to interconnect all these blockchains, right? So if a company decides to create their own blockchain for their needs, if they use Cosmos, the Cosmos blockchain to create their blockchain, okay? So how's that work? So behind the scenes, how the Cosmos will essentially speak with Ethereum blockchain or any other blockchain?
Yeah, so in order for something like that to work, in order for something like Ethereum to work, or an ERC20 contract like DAI or something like that, what you need to do is launch what we call a peg zone. Launch a peg zone, which is a zone, a sovereign application in the network. And what happens is you essentially have to have a means that locks the ERC20 token in Ethereum and essentially mints an equivalent amount of those tokens in the peg zone. And once those tokens are minted in the peg zone, you're free to use them and to transfer them how you wish, so long as you have access to those tokens. When you're ready to transfer them back to Ethereum, you burn the tokens in the peg zone, and then you unlock the tokens in Ethereum.
So the peg zone works as a
middleman,
bridge,
as a bridge,
reservoir, or like a
It acts as a bridge.
Okay.
The thing you have to be careful with is because Ethereum is not a fast finality chain, you have to have a certain number of block confirmations typically to wait before you can safely transfer assets. With other chains, like let's say it's not Ethereum, but you have another chain that is instant finality, like Tendermint, it would be instant. So.
Cool. Now, my last question is regarding the coin. What is that coin actually related to? What is the function of the atom? That's my main question. What's the function of atom?
This is a question that I think comes up a lot, right? Like, what gives atom value?
Correct.
So the Cosmos network is a proof-of-stake system, a bonded proof-of-stake system. The entire security model of the network is related to that notion that it's a proof-of-stake system. And what you need to do is essentially put up collateral in the form of atoms, these coins that you stake, that you bond to validators. The more collateral you put up in the network, the more security essentially that you can kind of guarantee the network. So the atom is directly correlated. This is security of the network. right? The less atoms that are bonded, you can kind of sort of the less secure, the easier it is to commit some sort of malicious Byzantine offense, right? So the more stick you have bonded, the more atoms you have bonded, the higher security. So what gives it value is essentially the cosmos is this hub.
Yeah.
Now, as you have zones spinning up and wanting to communicate with one another through IBC, they're going to talk through the hub, right? Because you don't want to essentially have to hop, 10 different zones to talk between 2 points. If you have an application, I have an application, we both trust the hub, we don't have to talk to one another. I trust the hub, and since you trust the hub, we can trust one another. It's transitive, right? And so, in order to do that, there has to be collateral, right? There has to be security in this hub, and that's where the atom comes into play. So, the more atoms that are staked, the higher security there is in the system. And the higher security is in the system, this kind of safety guarantees we have.
More trust in the network.
Yeah. Of course, you can have other hubs spin up, and you don't need the atom in that case. But we foresee that many zones will interoperate through the hub, and that's where the value of the atom comes into play.
So now one question that I'm sure the Brazilian community would love to know is that how many coins do you need to run a node to be a validator?
This is a good question. Yeah.
I guess the price will be changing because of the price of atom, right?
Yeah.
So, well, let's maybe just consider the amount of coins to be able to become a validator.
Yeah, good question. So the network runs again through a bonded proof of stake system, which under the hood runs Tendermint. In Tendermint, there is a fixed set of validators, currently 100. This is configurable, and you can change it through governance. People can say, this is too low, I want to increase it, let's cast a vote, increase it to say 200. Whatever the number is, there's a finite number of validators that can be producing blocks. The number of tokens needed to become a validator is essentially one more than the lowest one. So if there's 100 validators, and the very last one, that means the one with the least amount of tokens is saying he has 10,000, you need 10,001. So he gets kicked out and you join. And so essentially that's the amount of tokens you need. And like you said, the value of atom goes up and down. So one day, maybe you need $10,000 to become a validator. But if the price doubles the next day, it's now $20,000. So
It depends.
it depends on, again, like how, this is a whole open question.
Yeah,
about,
exactly. I get it.
Yeah.
So basically, I don't know if I understood it. The more amount of coins you have on that validator, the more chance you have to stay in that 100
Yes. If you have
window.
that 100,000 more coins, let's say, than everyone else,
You probably won't get out of
you
here.
probably won't.
Okay.
And this is an open network, and people are free to choose to bond, delegate to whom they wish.
Yeah.
But we obviously encourage a decentralized system, and we encourage delegators to choose wisely and to distribute their coins, because it's in the best interest of the network to be decentralized. We don't want cartels. We don't want centralized organizations running the network, so.
That's good. So we're about to wrap it up here.
Okay.
One final question is how you guys are doing on the roadmap, and if there's any new things that you guys are going to be adding on the roadmap for the rest of 19 and maybe coming early 2020.
Yeah. So the two kind of major camps are wrapping up, finalizing IBC. That's the kind of big catalyst for the network, is being able to actually communicate, have these chains communicate. So IBC is, our roadmap is to have a test net out. And once we have a test net out, to also do something similar to what we did last year, which is game stakes for IBC. And the other roadmap is with Tendermint. So there's a lot of cool improvements that we're looking to do with Tendermint. To even kind of look into things like new engines like Libra and Hot Stuff and implementing ABCI for them. We want to kind of create this environment where it's not just Tendermint, but many chains that can work with the SDK. And then even within the SDK, our roadmap includes things like improving developer economics, adding various integrations, things of that nature. So
cool. Think we can wrap it up? We want to say thank you very much, Alex, for your time. We really appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Pessoal, a gente está acabando aqui com o Alex. A gente agradece muito o tempo dele e até a próxima. Um abraço.